Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. David Schwartz has dropped some new information, at least it was certainly new to me, some of it was new to me anyway, regarding the origins of XRP. And so there's a string of, I think, 6 tweets from David Schwartz that I want to run through, and you're probably going to learn something that you were unaware of. But again, having to do with the origins of XRP, because somebody asked, when is XRP's birthday? We would like to know so we can celebrate, right? So I'm going to get into that. He also brings up the whole 32,000 missing ledgers, the first 32,000 or so transactions, quote unquote, lost. And he talks about that a little bit, and I'm going to give you some more specifics in addition to what he discussed very recently. And other than that, there was a video clip that I saw. I'm going to share with you some of the comments made during it, but there's a Ripple employee just talking about interoperability of ledgers, specifically referencing interledger protocol and how important that's going to be. And there are a couple other cool facts that I want to share with you, and it'll kind of help bring home the idea of why interledger protocol is important, especially if you're an XRP holder. And other than that, I've got an article. I'll wrap up the video with this one. It's from Daily Hodl titled, "A New Trend Among Bitcoin's Biggest Holders Could Rattle Bitcoin and Other Markets." But before we go any further, if you would please delicately tap that like button. And if you are a fan of Ripple and XRP, go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel. I'm telling you, that's the only way to live a complete life. And plus, let's be real, the Moon Lambo channel, stupid name, but best YouTube channel that there ever has or ever will be. Fact. All right. So there's a tweet from Michael Del Castillo, and here's what he wrote. After much help from the XRP community, it appears 100 billion XRP were created between the winter equinox of 2012, which happens to be the end of the Mayan calendar, if you remember the apocalypse memes, and Christmas. I'd still love an exact birthday if anyone has other info. Thanks. And you can see this little image is what he popped up there. It's a little birthday cake, says happy birthday with the question, when XRP birthday? Which, if you're in the world of crypto, that is the way to do it. Instead of using a complete sentence, you say things like when moon, when Lambo, when XRP birthday. Well, let's find out when XRP birthday. So David Schwartz actually responded to this. He wasn't even tagged in this, but he did respond. And here's what he wrote. There have been some questions floating around about the origins of the XRP ledger and when XRP was created. Let me clear those up. I worked with Arthur Brito and Jed McCaleb starting in late 2011. We co-created the XRP ledger. Here is my first code commit from November 2011, and I actually pulled it up just for the fun of it. And if you're out driving, you have to look at the screen. But if anybody's looking at their screen, I just pulled up for the sake of it here. And there you go, November 11th of 2011. How about that? And let me move down a little bit further here now. Here we go. Here's Arthur's code that created the 100 billion XRP, then called XNS. And by the way, I had mentioned this on the channel in the past. Might have only been once, though, but maybe twice. But yes, XRP used to be called XNS. How about that? So anyway, Arthur's code created 100 billion XRP on June 2nd, 2012, the birth date of XRP. Yes, this shows a code push, but was obviously used. GitHub history that shows how many times we contributed and executed every day. So there you go. When XRP birthday? XRP birthday, June 2nd of 2012. And here's the GitHub site referencing it right where I'm circling my mouse right there. There you go. 100 billion XRP. That's the day it actually freaking happened. Kind of crazy. And think about the level of adoption, the actual utility that stemmed just like from the origin of that. It's kind of like mind-blowing now that we have the benefit of hindsight, right? But there's more, so check this out. By June 2012, the XRP ledger was live and transacting. We were still madly squashing bugs as these were the early days. We reset the ledger sequence multiple times for binary format changes, and transaction history was erased. This does not mean the 100 billion XRP was recreated each time. And so this is basically when it was in beta, just to be clear here, right? It wasn't like out into the wild. And then he writes, David Schwartz writes, "Huzzah! The XRP ledger version that we know and love today began in December 2012. Unfortunately, the first week's worth of data, which would be ledgers 1 through 32,570, is lost, but people like it'd be Thomas Silkjaer, I believe I'm saying that right. There you go. Thomas Silkjaer, he's a member of the XRP community and a writer at Forbes. So Thomas Silkjaer has been researching it. And then he has a little retweet from Thomas Silkjaer dating back to August 15th of this year. And then David Schwartz wraps up his Twitter thread here by stating, "Today, over 50 million ledgers have been confirmed, and XRP is traded on 130 plus exchanges. Onwards and upwards." Cool stuff, right? It is funny to think when you just look at that. They had no idea the degree to which this would be adopted. The degree to which, and think about it, the participation, just the concept of an XRP community. Like, they never would have dreamed that. They probably weren't cocky enough to dream it anyway, right? But sure enough, it actually came into fruition. Here we are, and we're all excited about this. We're part of the XRP community. We love tracking this stuff on a daily basis. I spend hours per day tracking this stuff and making YouTube videos, so I'm an XRP dork. Cool. But just think about it, just from these humble beginnings. So a few more tweets I want to share with you before I share with you a little bit about those 32,000 or so lost ledgers, right? Tiffany Hayden tweeted this in response. "But did you say, welp, we made 100 billion tokens today. Good job, team." And by then, isn't it just supposed to be that easy? Now they couldn't they just have dumped them back then, right? No, they built a freaking ecosystem, but people don't like to acknowledge that in the Bitcoin community, right? Thomas Silkjaer writes, "That was a tough day in the mine." And somebody named Fleshmeister wrote, "The day it finally happened, XRP." And he made this image, which I think is funny and had to share with you. It's a picture of David Schwartz in a mine with a little miner's hat with a light on top, and it says, "We struck gold." So there you go. So you just dump it on the market. You just created it, then you just dump it. If you think it's that easy, you go ahead and create your own blockchain, your own cryptocurrency, and see if you can just get it on exchanges the world over, and then just dump it for billions of dollars. Yes, you go ahead and see if you can do that. I don't think it's going to pan out, though. So take a look at this. I did want to run through this very briefly. This is from June 2nd of 2013. Referencing the 32,000 lost ledgers. Unfortunately, due to a server bug, some history was lost. And again, just to be clear, XRP wasn't even on exchanges or anything. They were doing testing. You can't trace all the way back to the Genesis ledger. You can trace back to ledger 32,570. All history after the beta was opened is available. All that was lost was the ledger headers. All the transactions are still available, so there's some hope that the history may still be recovered. In each ledger, there is a header field that tracks the total amount of XRP in existence. It is easy to check that the total XRP in the ledger equals the amount in the header, and that the header field equals the previous ledger's total less the total of all transactions. There are no mechanisms to create or destroy XRP, and any change that did so would be immediately detectable. All ledgers after 32,570 are publicly available. Each ledger contains the hash of the previous ledger and all the transactions that were applied to turn the previous ledger into this ledger. Each transaction is signed by the account that issued it and is bundled in the ledger along with metadata explaining precisely what ledger entries it affected. And so there you go. I just wanted to run through again. I had covered that. It's been a long time since I talked about that, and there's only just new people entering the world of XRP and joining the channel, so I thought I'd cover that again since it came up there. But yeah, there's nothing to worry about. They were well aware of this, and they still went forward with it because it's a non-issue. All right, so just saying. All right, next, here's a tweet from Freck. He tagged me along with the digital asset investor. And it's a screen grab of a book for sale on Amazon titled Ripple and XRP for Beginners. And I was like, how about that? So I actually looked it up on Amazon anyway. It's by somebody named Roman Alexander, who's not really familiar with this. As it turns out, this particular individual he's written a number of books for different cryptocurrencies, so he's not just some sort of XRP community member or anything like that. There's another one I saw. He wrote a book about IOTA and another cryptocurrency, and I can't remember how many others. So, yeah, look, and this thing's actually over a year old at this point, and a lot has happened since then, so it would be interesting to flip through this, but I'm really more so looking forward to a book that's being written by an XRP community member, which I've mentioned a number of times on this channel. It's going to be coming out at some point. I think he said first quarter next year, pulling from memory here. But he's an XRP community member actually, right? That's the book that I'm really looking forward to reading. But nonetheless, I thought this was cool, and you can buy a paperback copy on Amazon. So there you go, just for the fun of it. All right, next here was, I got this from Jack the Rippler. I saw this, and there was a video clip here with Vanessa Prestrito, and she is the director at Spring at Ripple. All right, and so Jack the Rippler wrote, "Boom, AWS Loft event. Vanessa Alexandra Prestrito, Spring Ripple, July 2019. The Interledger protocol will connect everything together. XRP will be the bridge currency for every currency." And that's what Vanessa was talking about, just the idea of interoperability. And then there's another person on this panel here, and this is a fascinating concept to me, because I didn't know the numbers on this, but she stated that just through traditional payment rails, outside of the world of crypto, there are 9 trillion, with a T, 9 trillion payments on a daily basis, the world over, 9 trillion payments. And in the world of crypto, there are only, I believe she said, 80 billion with a B. And so she made the point that that's a rounding error, when you compare it to the 9 trillion that happen on a daily basis. And so she said that what she was excited about is just this idea that when you make traditional ledgers interoperable with cryptocurrencies, which is what ILP does, by the way. ILP is not just for cryptocurrencies and blockchains, just to be clear. I'm not sure if everybody's aware of that, but it actually integrates with the legacy financial system, legacy ledgers. And so as a result of that, she said what's most exciting perhaps is just that given that the other 80 billion, just to whatever degree, is siloed off because not everybody's engaging in the world of crypto, thanks to Interledger protocol, those people participating in crypto are going to have a shot at the rest of the transactions as interoperability increases. And I think that was a poignant point, if I can say it that way. All right, next here from Daily Hodl. New trend among Bitcoin's biggest holders could rattle Bitcoin and crypto markets. And that's from Bloomberg. Recent data indicates an increasing number of Bitcoin whales are consolidating Bitcoin, a trend that could trigger a more volatile market, according to some researchers. Investors holding between 1,000 to 1 million Bitcoin now control 42.1% of the total Bitcoin circulation, an increase of more than 4% since the height of the massive crypto bull run 2 years ago, according to Coinmetrics data reported by Bloomberg. Additionally, the top 1,000 addresses own 34.8% of the total Bitcoin supply, an increase of nearly 0.5% from 2 years ago, according to Flipside Crypto, a Boston-based data analytics firm. Some of those whale accounts are exchanges and custodians. Flipside estimates that exchanges control 5% of the total Bitcoin circulation, while Coinmetrics thinks they control 20%. So that's quite a disparity, obviously. But anyway, obviously it's a huge. There are some absolutely huge holders of Bitcoin out there. Some researchers believe the trend towards consolidation could lead to volatility. Oh yeah, whales. I think so. Says Eric Stone, head of data science at Flipside, and here's a quote from him. Bitcoin will remain volatile. A few really big wallets own a lot of the currency. Exchange marketplaces are unregulated and not audited. So there's just a lot of potential for someone who wants to manipulate the market to do so. So there's an acknowledgement of gigantic wallets manipulating Bitcoin, but hey, that's okay. It's just part of an open ecosystem. But then when you've got Ripple, who has escrowed 50 billion, that's half of the XRP supply right now. That's a problem, though. That's a problem. We got to be afraid of dumping, right? Because we can't count on them to be good stewards of the XRP ecosystem, right? It's a little bit of hypocrisy, right? To a degree, is that fair to say? Anyway, so Bitcoin whales have long been blamed for causing wild market swings, it states. And then they talk about how back in October, 400 Bitcoin on the exchange, Bitstamp was blamed for Bitcoin breakdown from 8,000 to about 7,400. But anyway, that's it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything, because if anything that I say or write, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!